Welcome to our Believe in City. Sitting next to me is a real piece of Celtics royalty. The daughter and son of legendary player and coach KC Jones. This is KC III and Bryna. It's a very special time. They're in town. Bryna's in town for the first time since 1981. First of all, it's really good to meet you guys. What's been the experience being back in town? I know for you, Bryna, you live out of town. How's it been to be? How's your experience been being back in town?
It's been fantastic. It's like, again, Boston's been our family for years. Even though we went all over to California, we went to Maryland, we went everywhere, Seattle. This has always been our home and our heart, so it's been fantastic.
And I know you live locally, but I know you haven't been down to the Garden. What's it been like for you, KC?
Yeah, it's like a homecoming because being born here in Framingham and with our father spending time in Boston and then coming back during the 80s and when he was coaching. And then as real life set in and we got to do work and we got to do our thing. And then coming back was just an amazing time. And it's even though we didn't get the W, it was still great to come back and see the arena and be part of the fans and all that excitement.
Absolutely. What do you think? Times are going really good right now with the Celtics. What do you think your dad would be saying right now, seeing the success of the team? You think he'd be just as excited as the whole city?
Yes, I think he'd be extremely pleased. I think he'd love the talent. I mean, they're a young, gunning kind of team, and I think the only thing he probably recall is the intensity. Yeah. He wants their intensity to come up, their confidence to stay strong, and again, to press on that defense.
What are some of your first memories coming to the Garden and meeting? I guess you probably met some players when you were real young. What were some of your first memories growing up of coming to the Garden or being around your dad?
Well, we were very young when he was playing, so the only thing that we really remember was his retirement out on the court, and then we didn't come back until his coaching days. So our memories will probably be more of the 80s coaching era, and that was an exciting time. Great players, great games, great rivalry with the Lakers. So that was probably the most exciting time that we had.
Bryna, your brother showed me a once-in-a-lifetime picture of you, Bill Russell, and your dad. Was that after the championship? Like, what were your memories from that?
Well, so for that one, I was 1.5 years old. But my mom had to tell me. Yeah. She said when Dad retired, he was on the brink of tears because, just like Bob Cousy, that's their life. Uncle Bill, that's their life and their heart. Yeah. So when they retired as a player, they were, again, emotional. But Mom said I was so hyper, I was jumping around and seeing all the photographers were my height at the time. So I thought they were playmates. So I was jumping all over the place. And that's what helped Dad stay light and happy. And so Mom said I saw Uncle Bill and I ran over to him and he picked me up and I always honk on Dad's nose and he would make a honk honk sound. So I did that to Uncle Bill and he was like, that's so he didn't say anything. So I was like, well, shoot, where's my dad? So that's when Dad came back over and grabbed me. But Uncle Bill, Dad, it's just family. So it's like same with Sam Jones, same thing with Willie Knowles, Uncle Willie, same thing with Uncle Satch. They're all our family, you know what I mean? Even though we call, Mr. Cousy, Mr. Arbeck, Mr. Arbeck, they're still family. Yeah, lifelong, yeah.
This is, this is, you'll have to send this to me, but this picture right there that's a once in a lifetime. Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah, time to time. So that's what we remember the most when he was playing was
yeah. That's incredible. Wow. So you guys both went on to play basketball as well as talk about. Did you play in high school after that?
Yeah, I started playing intramural sports in middle school and then elementary middle, and then played junior high school, and then finished in college. I did go to the Celtics rookie camp my junior year in college, and got to play up with Greg Kite and and Rick Carlisle, and that was a lot of great experience. They're great players, and it helped me with my college game. And so yeah, that was my playing career was high school and college mostly.
Do you remember any of the coaching advice that stuck with you from your dad? Any things that he would tell you?
I mean, just go out there and hustle. It's every point counts, every possession counts. So that's all it was just. And he would do when he was drafted. He felt that since he was drafted, not in the top round, but he said that he had to make a presence out there. So he always picked up at the full court, just to agitate the players and bring the ball up. So he didn't allow them to come up there, even in scrimmages and practices and all that. Yeah. So that kind of stuck in my mind to say, all right, I'm out here. I got to play. I got to hustle. I got to earn it. Right.
Yeah. So always that's beautiful. He always kind of had that, I guess, that chip on his shoulder. Like, I'm not that top pick that's just going to have the red carpet rolled out for them. So that's
tenacity. So he wasn't, he wasn't brought out like, all right, we got to get this guy. He had to earn it. So, and he didn't start until his 5th year on the Celtics. So that means that he worked hard enough. He got there.
Your dad had a pretty well-known roommate in college, I'd say.
I can't remember. I think his name is Bill something.
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell, yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, KC Jones famously went to school with Bill Russell. Once they had a great career in college. Won some national championships. Bryna, you also had quite a nice career playing basketball too. Where did your career take you?
Well, I did not want to play basketball, even though I was 6 feet in 7th grade. Yeah. And I kept on doing my thing, playing the flute and being an artist. And my dad I'll never forget, my dad was coaching over the summer league in Puerto Rico. And one of the players said, boy, your daughter's really tall. Did she play basketball? And he goes, nah, she plays the flute. So I was like, okay, so he's not happy about that. So the next year he said, you're going to have to do something with your height. Like, my brother's been going to camp since he was like 2 years old. So he had no choice. But I was like trying to stay away. And he goes, you have to do something with your height. Come to camp. And that was my 8th grade, before my 8th grade year started. And the first 2 days I cried, and I didn't want anybody to know that I was, this is my dad's camp, and I can't play basketball. But the 3rd day, when my brother was reffing and stuff, so he was helping me and coaching me. So by the 3rd day, things turned around. And the 5th day, I got most improved player, and I loved it. Wow. And so,
I'm kind of good at this.
Yeah, it came natural after I was like, So by the time I became in the 9th grade, I was in Andover High. I was on the All-Star team, and that's when I had 14 blocks that one game. Yeah, that was
Bill Russell-esque right there.
That was good fun. But I got in Andover High. High school started at 10th grade, so I was on the varsity team. Then I was starting to dunk, but not during the game because I couldn't dribble very well, but only during practice. So I went back to, when Mom and Dad divorced, we went back to Maryland, and I still played and did well. So I got recruited during Dad's camp to go to university, or his first Old Dominion, and then that coach got the job in Hawaii. So I wanted to go to Hawaii. And then Uncle Willie Knowles, Dad's teammate, said, no, she's going to UCLA because I live across the street from you. So I kind of went back and forth, but then I chose Hawaii, and it was wonderful. Got to see Magnum PI. And it was great to be part of a building team, because when I first got there, we were the first blue chip recruits. It was a 6'9" girl. I was 6'3". Wow. The girl was 6'5", Jeannie, and then we had a 5'1" guard. Yeah. So we all started. And it went from having fans of just one row of bleachers to packed. We were packed by the time we were seniors, and we were the first ones to go to postseason in the NCAA Division I. So it was great to be part of that. But it was awesome. But I have to we'll go back to KC real quick. My favorite game of watching him was when he played against Pat Ewing. Oh. So you have to tell him about that.
He played at Cambridge Ridge and Latin. So you played against him in high school.
Yeah, when I was at Andover High. Wow. Yeah, we weren't in the same league, but we played. Our teams played well enough to be in the playoffs, and so my junior years is when we first played them, and lost by like 20 or 30. Yeah. And then my senior year, we're both in the same class. We got to play them again, and we had kind of the home court advantage because we had more wins that were recorded at the time. So
Yeah.
we were both undefeated teams.
Right. Wow.
But when it got reported in the papers, it was at that time whoever had the most wins, and
Yeah.
we just had them by one.
Wow.
So they got to play up towards our area, and we had a closer game. Coach Jarvis was coaching.
Mike Jarvis.
Yeah, was coaching their team at the time, and I had Will Hicks on our coaching our team, and it was a very good match.
Wow.
You couldn't really tell until the last few minutes of the game. So
Not too shabby going toe to toe with one of the greatest centers of all time. I'd say that's not too bad. Wow. So Bryna, I wanted to ask you, how cool is it to see where the women's game right now is, considering you came up and you kind of set your mark at Hawaii and had some moments there, and now just to see the evolution now where the women's game is. It seems to be more popular than the men's game in college basketball. Like, how cool is that to see the women getting some love?
I think it's fantastic because there's so many talented girls and women out there that are getting to showcase their talent. Because back in the day, we were kind of like, yeah, the girls will play first, but then the guys will come after, and so we were kind of overshadowed at times, but there was still really good play at the time. So we are very fortunate that the WNBA has come into play, so they have a place to go after college. Right. And I like the competition and not only the competition between the players, but I like that, the spiciness. You know what I'm saying?
There's some drama there. It's must-see TV.
And that's what they always had. We always had that in the guys. You see Curry doing all that. You see all the people doing that. We had no problems with that. So when Caitlin and and Angel reached for it, they said, go for it. That's all it's all about. We need that spice and that intensity.
You've even been mistaken for Cheryl Miller a few times. Is that correct?
Oh, yes. When I was getting recruited and I went to UCLA with my auntie, my dad's baby sister, to look at the school, every place I had a jerry curl, like a little afro. So every place I went, are you Cheryl Miller? No, I'm not sure. Are you? Because we're the same height. And so people were really in the same coloring. So people assumed I was Cheryl Miller. But no, alas, I wish I did play like her, though. Yeah.
I was saying you should have taken advantage of it if there was long wait times at a restaurant or something. I mean, yes, I am actually her. But so when you were at college, was it kind of a cool thing for you? Because that was probably the first time you were around other girls where you didn't have to look down to. Was that the first time you were around girls your height?
That's true, because when I went to Wild Lake in Maryland, I was the tallest person. It was this other guy, Kurt, and we were both the same height. So, and everybody else was below us. Right. When we were in Andover High, my brother was taller than me. The 6'7" guy at 6'9" was Todd Orlando, 6'9". So there was people tall. My friend Beth Sullivan, she was 6'1". So there were some tall people in Andover. Yeah. Wild Lake or Maryland, they had shorter people. Yeah. But so when I went to Hawaii, it was fantastic to look up to players and look up to other women basketball players. The favorite team that I liked playing against, even though they whipped our butts, was Mississippi State.
Oh, really?
Those women were tall, and they were thick, and they were fast. Really? And I was like, wow. And they're like, that's okay, big girl, keep on. And they were encouraging, even though they were beating us. Right. But that was my favorite team to play against. They were wonderful girls.
Honored to share the court with them, huh?
Yeah, totally, yes.
Now, we were talking during the commercial break, I guess. Your nickname growing up was Kip.
Right. Kip. Yeah, Kip.
You also played. You played at Bentley College locally. Bentley has actually has a pretty storied history for some of the. They've had some championship teams.
They've always made it to the Division II championships. When I was working in Springfield, I would always go over there. They play at Mass Mutual Center. Yeah. So it was great to see how good the program was over the years, and it got better and better, and also the division too. So that was great to see.
So we have basically two trendsetters here. One first NCAA qualifier to Hawaii, and the start of the Bentley Division II dynasty, and the guy that gave Patrick Ewing the first problems right there. So I think that's pretty special. I'll say it. He's too humble to say it. He's like his dad. He's quite humble.
All I can say is we played against him. That's all. That's it.
Sure.
When he was in high school, right? Yeah.
Very cool. It must have been really special being back at the Garden. I know, since it was the first time since '81. I know you hadn't been to the new Garden either. Did you see? And you must have seen some people that you hadn't seen since you were kids. Was that was I know you saw Cedric. You guys probably recognize Cedric, but was that the first time that you've seen him since the '80s?
Yes, because we have not seen him physically, except like I've only seen him on TV, and we tweeted a couple of times, and he knows who our dad is, that was his boss, essentially, but we never seen him on in live person since then. And so when we were at the game on Sunday, and we were all talking to our Uncle Sam's kids and Bill Russell's daughter and Paul Tommy Heinsohn's son and stuff. Then he walked by and I said, Casey, get him. So I'm glad he was able to go over there and see him because my brother was around the Celtics and my little sister Holly was on the Celtics a lot in the 80s. I was in Hawaii at the time, so I only saw him when we played in California. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we connected physically and got to see each other.
I had to be careful because I didn't look like this back in the 80s. So he didn't recognize me in the beginning. So when she's like, "Go get him," I said, "Okay," but I'm not just going to go after them, So yeah, it was great to catch up with him afterwards.
And lastly, what's it been like just growing up with such a historic, just great franchise, having your dad be such an integral part of it as a player? Like, how special has that been for you guys? And what's that been like?
Well, I really appreciate it now, and even when I'm 59, so like in the 40s, and oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I'll take that.
I need to get some your secrets to looking young after, but
Hair dye and extensions, but no, but I really appreciate all the hard work that the Celtics continue to do to keep the dynasty going. I mean, it's one of the few NBA teams that you can go into the you look up into the rafters, you see our retired players' numbers and banners. That's all you see, and there's a richness to our history. So I didn't really appreciate it when I was younger. It was just like that's Dad's job, and I wish he was home like everybody else's dad, So, but now and I took going to the games for granted, especially when he was in Washington Bullets, because I was old enough to understand. Mm-hmm. But now after seeing the ESPN Classics when Dad's actually playing and see his teammates playing and see Uncle Bill playing, and then seeing how Rich and how Jeff Twist specifically keeps the history of it going, I am extremely proud, and Celtic pride is a real thing. Yeah. It'll always keep going. Celtics family is a real thing. From anybody working in the Celtics to every fan that watches the game, we're all one family, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, and for you, also to see that your dad is up in the rafters and will be there forever. What's that been like for you, just growing up in the Celtics family?
Yeah, it's as Bryna mentioned, we have a deeper appreciation now that we're older. We didn't understand when we were kids. It was because, again, he was his dad when we were kids, and he never come home and beat his chest and say, "Look what I did, kids." It's a lot of times we're finding out later on and say, "Did you do that?" He goes, "Yeah." So that's how it's been. It's sort of been like a slow discovery. And then after his passing, we had so many people that was, Bryna's on social a lot, and they reach out to her to say, "Hey, I was this here. I remember your dad doing this. I remember your dad singing over here." And so all these kinds of things and brought a lot of folks together. And it was a tough situation for us when he passed, but it was great that we had all these connections afterwards that kind of made up for that. And then afterwards, we were able to have a celebration. Bryna mentioned Jeff Twist, who works in the Celtics organization, who helps keep the history going and keeps with all of the retired players and family members, and they were able to. He and the rest of the organization, and a good friend of ours, Joanne Brzezikin, who I've been was at college with, helped put together a great just a day to celebrate his life. Yeah. Basically, we got to go to a game and be up in with all of his family from San Francisco and enjoy the moment. So that was our first re-entry back into sort of Celtics Nation, was with that. And then we were able to go to another game to meet up with the other, what we call Legends kids, with Kieran Russell from Bill Russell's daughter, and Paul Heinsohn, Tommy Heinsohn's son, and the Jones, Sam Jones. We call the Jones boys. My dad and his, so with Aubrey Michael. So we got to connect, and we said, you know what, this was a lot of fun because again, life happens, and we don't get a chance to congregate, and even our family, we don't get to congregate, because she's in Maryland, I'm up here. So we said, well, maybe that's something we might want to do the next time, and if it's not this playoff series, maybe another game next year. So, but just being around that, and it's great that our father was part of such a great organization. So he was very fortunate to be part of that. He loved playing basketball, had a chance to be on a great team, but it wasn't all him. So people, when I'm working or whatever, and they hear the name KC Jones, goes, "Oh, are you?" I said, "Yeah." Then they go into naming all the players and all the where they were when this happened. So it's not where he was. It's just about him. It's about him being part of something, and I think that's probably the best thing about what he's done and what he was part of, and just being part of Celtic Nation.
The legacy that he taught seems like it'll live on forever, and the stories. I think it's you don't appreciate it when you're young, but it's now that you're older, it's beautiful to hear all the stories and things, and the effect that he had on a lot of people's lives. Hey, I want to thank you guys for sharing your stories. Finally meeting you, Bryna. It's been great. It's hopefully now we can maybe make this more of a tradition where we all get together, But yeah, it's been so great. Such a pleasure to meet you guys, and to be able to call you guys not only Celtics royalty, but friends as well. So yeah, yes, camera woman.
I want to know, Celtics just came off of a tough loss.
Okay.
What would their dad say to the team? Like, what advice would they have besides the things you can't do from the bench?
Hold on.
So the future segment of what you can't do from the bench is coming up. But what advice would your dad be giving this team after this loss with the just kind of the difference between game 1, game 2, and just the, about to head to Miami and, continue these scrappy fights, for the next couple of games?
Good question from the audience right there.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is you got to shake it off. So yeah, you came out flat, but the other team did beat you. So they were making threes. I think they shot like 49%. So they were on their game, where the Celtics were not. So now, all right, game is in the can. So now you got to go back out there and attack. So he would tell them, pick them up at full court, or put the defensive intensity out there and force some bad shots, force some turnovers, get the possessions, and then you can't just beat them with threes because they beat the Celtics with threes and they were making them. So that's not going to win games. It's going to be the hard-nosed back-to-back and the teamwork. Yeah, absolutely. So everyone's got to do their role. Everyone's got to do their part. So it's not about me now having the ball and I'll take you on and I'll throw everybody on my shoulders and I'll go all the way through. It takes 5. And when he was playing, that's what they did. And one thing that he mentioned, it was kind of funny, is that everyone knew their roles. Like, for example, Sam Jones, he was a great shooter. He had the great bank shot. And my dad he wasn't known for shooting. He was known for defense. So he told me that one time Bill Russell went out, got the rebound, and it was my father right there and Sam Jones over here. He got the ball, looked at my dad, and he threw it right to Sam Jones. Yep. And my father said, yeah, that was the right pass to make. He's the one that makes the shots, So know your role and play as a team, and you'll get it back.
If I closed my eyes and listened, it's almost like I was listening to KC Jones speak right there. That was pretty cool. I mean, you pretty much anything to add, Bryna?
Well, the other thing is during a game, something like that, just shift quickly.
Yeah.
If you see you're not hitting something, you better, pick up a little bit intensity on your end on the defense and make the defense your offense. And then also if you're not hot, like we always say, a pass is always going to beat somebody running. Yeah. You can't outrun a pass. So shift. Switch the ball. That's how you're going to get somebody open. Yeah. You just keep turning around. Just don't go one and stay on this side, one on side. No, you got to keep it turning, and work the inside, people. Work it. Yeah. You got Porzingis wreck it on the inside.
I thinking back to some of those teams, what they did so good was they would get the rebound and they'd pass it out, and they'd almost catch the other team before they could set their defense, and that was
Movement, yeah. It's the ball movement. It's moving without the ball too. So you need both of those things, and Miami did a very good job of running picks off of each other. And then when they started making it, I said, all right, there's the confidence. And then after that, they were able to spread the floor and maybe do a little one-on-one play. And then all of a sudden, there were some backdoor opportunities. So they were able to identify where they were making it, where they were being more effective, and then they just capitalized on that. And they had the Celtics on their heels, So now, hopefully, Celtics will see that film because we all saw it up here. We all, and make the adjustments, as Bryna mentioned too, and go out there and play to that level, because it's kind of deceptive when it says 8th seed.
yeah.
It doesn't. That is out the window now. It's now. You got to beat that team.
All the teams are 0-0. It's
0-0, right? And any team can win at any time. It doesn't matter where.
They're professionals too. They put on the pants the same way. So yes, that's a great point. I think the C's got to have a short memory too. But that was some words of wisdom right here from, I'd say, Coach Kip right here, Coach Bree.
Your pants on at the same time. That's the very thing Dad told me when I was playing. We were going to play Louisiana Tech, and at the time they were the team to beat, top dogs, and we were like, we're going to get killed, and it's our own conference in Hawaii. We're going to get killed. And I was talking to Dad. Dad goes, well, they put their pants on just one at a time like you. So, but Dad, he goes, yeah, so? He said, you go out there and you play your game. Yes, we did get killed, but that fear was immediately gone. So, and I had people on Twitter saying, what can somebody, how can somebody just say one thing to you and it makes your life change? I said, well, this is the very example. Yeah. You need that kind of wisdom. Even if it's not your coach, sometimes somebody else will come from the outside. Have Kevin Garnett keep coming back. Paul Pierce keep coming back. Larry Bird when you can't come back. Kevin McHale, Cedric. Listen to these guys. They've been there. Robert Parrish, they've been there. Listen to what they got to say. Because just one little piece will unlock that fear in you or trepidation or, unlock the beast in you to come out, that beast mode. So be open to the folks that been there and done that and get that fire in you.
I now hope the Celtics watch this.
Because we love you guys. We bleed green, so we just want to see the best out of you.
That's for sure. Bryna, when you played Louisiana Tech, was that what years was that? I know.
That was 85, someplace in there.
Was Kim Mulkey on the Louisiana Tech? I know the fiery coach of LSU. I seen her. Some of her old tapes, Louisiana Tech. She's a little fireball back then, but you must have played against her too. So.
But I was not scared anymore.
I'm sure she held her own. Okay, I'm gonna find YouTube on it.
They're fantastic. Talented women. Fantastic. Yeah, they're wonderful.
Well, very cool. I could stay here all night and talk with the Joneses. Again, thank you guys so much. It was such a pleasure to meet you guys, and hopefully we'll be catching up again sometime soon.
We'll be around. Absolutely.
Cool.